What's going on, guys? It's Jimmy here. War has been declared, and the U.S. is now being dragged here into another war. This will be two wars simultaneously that the U.S. will be dragged into. And this comes as the U.S. is already historically low on ammo and supplies. And we're now going to be dragged into yet another proxy war. Take a look here at the details, and you guys can let me know your thoughts here on this. Here we go. Yeah, Israeli Prime Minister declares war against Palestinian militants after border attack. President Biden has declared support from the U.S. and the Pentagon has as well. I'll give you all the details of that here in this video. Take a listen here and a look at the actual footage of what has happened and how involved the U.S. is going to be.
We have breaking news out of Israel this morning where Hamas has launched a surprise attack within Israel's borders overnight. First, launching rockets from the Gaza Strip, then sending militants into the streets of the southern part of Israel. Hundreds of people have been injured. Several have been killed, but that number could be much higher. You are looking at live pictures there.
Let's go right to NBC's Raf Sanchez, who is in the south of Israel. Raf, good morning. What is the latest where you are?
Joe, Laura, good morning. Israelis woke up today to find their worst nightmares had come true in the form of a massive surprise attack by Palestinian militants from Gaza. As we speak, Palestinian gunmen are inside Israeli cities and towns, something we have never before seen on this scale, and they are fighting running gun battles against Israeli ground forces. Hamas, the major Palestinian militant group that controls Gaza, says they have taken Israelis hostage, and they have taken them back inside of Gaza. Now, the Israeli military says this infiltration came by land, by sea, and by air in the form of Hamas gunmen on paragliders infiltrating into Israeli territory, and this was done under the cover of a barrage of more than 2,000 rockets fired in the early hours of this Shabbat morning. Guys, I wanted just to explain to you what the scene is where we are right now. We are on one of the major highways in southern Israel. You would expect this road to be full on a holiday weekend, and instead you can see behind me, this is an Israeli military checkpoint. Israeli forces here are searching all cars that are going past because they do not know at this point where these Palestinian gunmen are, and they are afraid these gunmen may try to be getting north towards Tel Aviv, towards Jerusalem. As we've been here, we have seen just a stream of Israeli special forces driving south towards the Gaza border, and they are heading to confront those gunmen in the towns and cities in the south. Guys.
Rob, just an incredible scene playing out there, the idea of armed gunmen going in. Can you tell us more about the paragliders?
We have never seen anything like this before, Laura. When Hamas has tried to get into southern Israel previously, they have done it sometimes through underground tunnels under the border. They have done it sometimes in small boats going out into the Mediterranean and then back onto the Israeli shoreline. This morning, for the first time, they crossed by air in paragliders. It is not clear how many of them, but these are armed, highly trained Hamas militants landing by air, catching the Israeli state completely by surprise. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu addressed his people earlier today, and he said Israel is at war. This is above and beyond those rounds of fighting that the world has got used to over the last decade, where we see Israel and Hamas fighting for 72 hours a week. This is on a much, much bigger scale. There is at this point no official word on death tolls, but the videos we are seeing are absolutely harrowing, showing bodies, what appear to be bodies of both Israeli soldiers and civilians. And this is a country right now that is bracing for the absolute worst.
Raf, do we have any idea how many of these attackers have infiltrated Israel?
Joe, it's a really good question, and I asked the Israeli military earlier. They would not say, but just judging by the number of locations, at this moment there is fighting. The most recent information we have, at least 5 locations across southern Israel. That suggests that we are looking at squads in large numbers. I asked the Israeli military, are we talking dozens? Are we talking hundreds? They would not say. What they were prepared to say is that Israeli fighter jets are in action right now. We have been seeing them in the skies across southern Israel. They are striking targets inside of Gaza, trying to stop this barrage of rocket fire. But Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, there's an ambulance just coming past us now. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says, what is going on right now in terms of Israeli airstrikes in Gaza is only the beginning of what will be a major, major Israeli retaliation. But guys, the priority for the Israeli military right now is to regain control of these cities where there are still Israeli civilians inside, and nobody at this point knows the scale of the death toll.
Right,
Guys.
that's got to be the first priority, obviously, Raf. Do we have a sense of exactly how many people were taken? I know you told us that they were going across the border, making sure, obviously, that no more people are taken essentially as hostages. Do we know at all right now?
Laura, there is no more sensitive piece of information in Israel right now than how many people have been taken hostage, how many are alive, or how many are dead. The Israeli government, the nation of Israel, will go to enormous lengths to get its people back, whether they are live civilians, whether they are dead soldiers. And the scale of the Israeli response will be determined by how many Israelis are inside of Gaza right now. If there are civilians in large numbers there, we may see a situation where the Israeli government feels it has no choice. Laura, we're just hearing the air defense going off here. There's no sirens at the moment, so we're good. I'm going to keep talking to you. But this is just a very live situation. You can see Israeli forces on the ground behind me. Behind my camera operator, Dave Copeland, there's actually smoke from where a rocket hit earlier on. But depending on the number of Israeli civilians who are inside of Gaza, that will determine the scale of the Israeli response. And it may very well be that the government of Israel feels it has no choice but to mount some kind of large-scale ground offensive into Gaza in the densely populated cities of Khan Yunis, of Gaza City, where there are so many civilians among these Palestinian militants. And it is a situation like that we have already seen what appears to be a very serious loss of life this morning. But an Israeli ground invasion inside of Gaza could take this death toll to a whole new level. So everyone in this region is holding their breaths right now. Guys.
Now, Israel is not an official member of NATO, but here is what the Pentagon and what President Biden has already said. Take a listen here. Yeah, as you can see here, Pentagon says it will support Israel after Israel has declared war. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the U.S. stands squarely behind Israel and will ensure, quote, has what it needs to defend itself after Israel Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu declared war against Palestinian militants that launched a surprise attack on his country. Austin said in a statement he was, quote, closely monitoring developments in Israel and extended his condolences to the family of the victims who lost their lives in the Saturday attack. Quote, our commitment to Israel's right to defend itself remained unwavering. Again, looks very similar to what is happening in Ukraine. I expect we will see the same type of defense supplying weapons. You guys can let me know your thoughts here in the comments. Over the coming days, the Department of Defense will work to ensure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself and protect civilians from indiscriminate violence and terrorism. The U.S. is one of Israel's staunchest allies and has provided around $3 billion a year to the country. Netanyahu has declared war on Saturday against Palestinian militant groups after Hamas launched a surprise attack, multi-frontal attack inside Israel. militants launched more than 2,000 missiles in just literally one morning and stormed Israel from multiple directions after infiltrating the border. The most recent death toll has at least 100 Israeli deaths in the country, according to Israel's National Rescue Service. The U.S. has condemned the recent violence, and the White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan has discussed the situation with his counterparts. The latest clash comes after decades of violence between Palestine and Israel, which has only picked up in recent months, following the more controversial policies under Netanyahu's far-right government against Palestine's communities. President Biden says here on Twitter or X, saying, quote, "Today I spoke with Israeli Prime Minister about the appalling Hamas terrorist attacks in Israel. I offered our support and reiterated my unwavering commitment to Israelis' security. The First Lady of the United States and I express our heartfelt condolences to the families who have lost loved ones." So again, the key words there, I offered our support and reiterated my unwavering commitment to Israel's security. The key words there. Also, Biden speaks with the prime minister, saying the U.S. is ready to offer, quote, all appropriate means of support to Israel. Yeah, President Biden affirmed U.S. support for Israel in a phone call with the Israeli prime minister on Saturday, the White House announced. So you can see how quickly this is already moving. The Palestinian military group Hamas launched the largest attack on Israel in decades early Saturday, invading multiple Israeli towns from Gaza and launching missiles in the country. Biden said, quote, in a statement, "This morning I spoke with Prime Minister Netanyahu about the horrific and ongoing attacks in Israel. The United States unequivocally condemns this appalling assault against Israel by Hamas terrorists from Gaza, and I made clear to the Prime Minister that we stand ready to offer all appropriate means of support to the government and people of Israel. All appropriate means of support." Yeah. Terrorism is never justified. Israel has the right to defend itself and its people. The United States warns against any other party hostile to Israel seeking advantage in this situation. The president continues, "My administration's support for Israel's security is rock solid and unwavering." Government officials say at least 100 Israelis and 200 Palestinians have been killed in the fighting. The Palestinian government said the attacks Saturday are a result of Israeli discrimination against Palestinians in the country. Of course, you could probably ask either side and you would hear different stories. Of course, you know that's how war is, including attacks on Muslim minorities and occupation of the West Bank. Governments in Europe and the U.S. have pledged to support Israel amid rising violence, while nations in the Middle East have mostly condemned Israel for its role in the ongoing conflict with Palestine. So again, you can see the different sides of the battle here. So you have, again, multiple different countries supporting some different sides here. Yeah, as you can see right here on the screen. So the U.S. is going to be drug into yet another war here. This is a war that has been going on for, yes, this is a new declaration of war, but this is a war that has been going on for a long, long time. The fighting there has been going on for really hundreds and hundreds of years in that area. You guys can let me know your thoughts here. Of course, we have the Russia-Ukraine war that has been going on for 20 months now and shows no sign of ending at this point. And the U.S. is already extremely low on ammo, and now we have this as well. So you guys can let me know your thoughts. I'll keep you up to date. If you haven't yet, make sure to subscribe down below. Click the bell icon so you don't miss out on any new videos. New videos come out here on our YouTube channel every day at 10 a.m., 3 p.m., and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks for liking and share these videos so other people can get to see this information and know what's going on. Click here to see my new video on U.S. nuclear testing. Or click here to see Russia talking about invading 5 NATO countries. Click on one of those videos next. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.